Back in Vegas for the first time since a little matter last year in August.
A wee boxing fight.
What's it like landing down in Vegas, a place where you obviously have a lot of history?
Familiar. I like this place. We get to come here just for a couple of weeks at a time, and then leave. But it is fun to come back. I'm enjoying it again.
Do you anticipate being here for a potential fight camp at any time in the near future?
Very subtle, Brett. Very subtle. There's talks ongoing, negotiations ongoing, and my honest answer is I don't know. I'm in the dark about that kind of stuff now. I have a very busy and big fight team, and I just focus on that. And Conor and his management are working on that. I know they're in talks. I know they're negotiating. So I hope so. I would love that.
Yeah, I mean the world is getting anxious. They want to see Conor fight again. I mean, how anxious do you get?
I'm just so busy. I'm just every week. I'm here. I'm fighting for one of my guys is fighting Friday night for an award I've always wanted. We've yet to achieve it. We got close with Artem. Reinhold bested him on the night, but now Brad Catoni is fighting for the Ultimate Fighter trophy, and that's something I've wanted on my shelf for a long time. Many years ago, I made a few goals. Obviously, winning a UFC belt was one of them, but winning an Ultimate Fighter trophy was one of them. And that's consumed me for the last 6 months, really. Since I sent Brad over to do the trials, and then following him through the series, and then I'm coming back. So there's just always something like that going on, and I'm very heavily involved with Bellator now, and Gallagher working towards his first title fight in Bellator, and we spoke earlier on about my involvement with the Warrior, and so my life is just kind of going so quick, and I'm so deep every day with something big that's kind of in the background for me, and when it does become concrete and there's a date set, brilliant. I'm full behind that as well.
When I talked to Conor right after the Floyd fight, I remember walking out of there thinking, this guy will fight again, and maybe not soon, maybe not in the next 2 months, but I guess walking out of there, I probably wouldn't have guessed it would have taken over a year, just because you could still, when you're around Conor, you can feel how much he loves to do this.
Yes.
Was I wrong on that, or are you surprised that it's taken over a year for him to get back in?
I think it's hard to appreciate what his normal day-to-day life is like, in that he has no normal day-to-day life. And I don't think people have any clue of just how deeply involved he is in many other businesses, whether it's his whiskey brand that's launching soon, his big commercial deals he's doing, talking with various movie producers, and his property portfolio. He's a very, very smart guy in terms of utilizing this time, which he's obviously a world superstar, in order to make sure that he's financially set, and his grandkids and great-grandkids are financially set. Whereas a lot of fighters, in the height of their fighting, when a business opportunity comes on, they push it away because they're deep in fight camp. And then suddenly their fight career is over, and then all these big business guys that were interested in being involved in them are gone. And maybe they didn't make great money in the fight game. Conor's very lucky he's done both. But yeah, it's. I think we all feel that years are starting to whiz past. We only noticed the other day we're over the halfway point of this year. Like, when's the first Christmas ad going to come out? So time just goes so quickly nowadays. The world is so small, so much traveling and social media. We're connected with so many millions of people. So it's in some ways surprising, but in some ways not, because I know what he's been doing outside the gym as well. I know some of what he's been doing outside the gym. So a year just is a blink at this stage.
How does it feel for you specifically? Just, you appreciate this sport, you appreciate the history of this sport, and I believe that you would probably agree with me that Conor is a special talent, and just as a fan of this sport, I want to see what Conor is capable of, I guess. I wish him all the success in the world, but I hope all the success in the world doesn't prevent me from seeing him take all of the challenges that that I want to see him take.
Yes.
As his coach and someone who cares about him on a personal level, obviously. I mean, where are you at on that? Because combat sports is dangerous, but the guys who have stood out of the history, they fight regularly. Yeah. Do you think that Conor? How do you feel about that portion of it?
Yes. Well, it's just to state facts. In the last 2 years, he hasn't fought regularly. Like, if you Eddie fight till now, what's that? 2 years or almost 2 years?
2 years in November.
2 years. So we're over a year and a half past that, and there's been one fight, a boxing fight. But I think that's kind of normal, considering what was happening with his rise of stardom and his utilizing that position to secure himself. Now, if you go from the Eddie fight and go back 7 years, from that moment he was incredibly busy. You know, he was doing a lot of fights even before his UFC career, a lot of fights on the local promotions in Europe. And then as soon as he got into UFC, he rattled them up together quite quickly as compared with other champions. So I just think it's a normal evolution of a guy from his early 20s approaching 30. But like yourself, don't get me wrong, I'm first and foremost an MMA fan. That's what got me into this, was watching UFC and being blown away by it. And Conor, I think, is one of the greatest fighters of all time. Maybe slightly biased, but don't think for a second I don't love watching that fighter. Even if he was nothing to do with me, I would just enjoy watching him. And how is he going to solve fighting, you know, Mendes? How is he going to solve fighting Aldo? How is he going to solve fighting Dustin Poirier and so on? So yeah, I get a huge rush as a fan just to watch the skill level, and to watch him fighting Khabib would be amazing for me, because you know I'm an MMA fan, I'm a grappling fan, I'm a striker fan, I love it all. So the selfish side of me is probably shoving him in the back a lot more. And then there's the, you know, I'm kind of like his big brother, and I want to make sure he's also set, which he more than is set. And I'm his coach. I want to, you know, I've invested a lot of time and energy into him, and you want to see that skill set being used in the sport that he's been trained in. His style of fighting, I think, suits that he can fight for a number of years. If he still has the motivation to do it, that's a question that he has to answer. Because if you compare him with, I won't say names, but we can all think of a fighter in the UFC that just has wars every time they go out there. The crowd love it, and just bleed and all that. Like, that's absolutely the antithesis of the style I've been trying to pass on, and that Conor exemplifies beautifully. Is you could rack up the number of shots he's taken in the last 5 years. It's not been a huge amount. So that style of fighting lends itself to a long career. So if he was so wished, if he was so driven that he was saying, you know what, I've got the other side of things now on lockdown, I'm confident with that, let's do another 3-year stretch of fighting 3 times a year, he would easily be able to do that from a physical point of view, as long as he found that motivation to do it. And you best believe I would be behind it. I would love it.
Yeah,
it's so much fun, the whole experience of training him and coming out for a couple of weeks, and the lead up and the build up and then the fight. There is just a different feel to a Conor McGregor fight. There's no denying that.
And how would you describe his motivation now as compared to in years past? And it seems like he's going to be a lifelong martial artist, always train. He seems like one of those guys. But in terms of wanting to take a fight,
yeah,
compared to now than before,
I really have seen the spark back lately that I think was directed at other areas of his life for a while. Like I said, building up his business world, which is completely justified. You know, I absolutely agree with what he was doing, because, like I said, how many fighters, we all know the hard luck stories of fighters retiring and being broke, and they get pats on the back and then they're forgotten. So I supported that, and I'm fully behind it, but I do see the spark back, and I do see him very hungry again, and you know, coming down and just jumping in a regular jiu-jitsu class with throwing his gi on, you know, putting his back doing those classes, back doing strength conditioning, and yeah, there's a real fire back there.
John, we don't get to see Conor very often. He's a private guy. He sticks to his private life. A few times over the last year, when he has been in the public eye, it has not always been for the most positive reasons. As his friend and coach, what have been your reactions to those?
I just think it's the way media works in general. A storyline about him doing some charity work is just not going to get the same hits as some other story. It is what it is, you know. I don't really have a comment on that. Conor is a man. He's his own person. He's very busy with what he's doing outside the gym. I'm super busy with what I'm doing outside the gym and in the gym. I love him to bits. He's been my kid brother for over 10 years. I'm behind him 100%. Is he perfect? No. Are you? No. Am I? No. But I know he's a good person, and I've seen all the good stuff he's done, and he's incredibly loyal. He's a great teammate. Yeah. So, what can I say? I'm supportive.
I mean, what's happened to him over the last 2 years, though? It's almost hard for anyone else to wrap their head around it. You know, the amount of money that he's made in a quick amount of time, the amount of fame that he's made in a quick amount of time. How have you seen him react to it, I suppose?
You know, it's odd, is it? His mindset, he's been that person since he's 18. He was driving a banged up, 1 liter car that we had to push to get started, and in his head he'd be blaring some of that rap that he likes and shades on, driving down the road thinking he's in the Rolls, and now he's in the Rolls, but the attitude is the same. So I don't see a massive difference in him. He's matured, of course. Like I said, I met him, he was 16, 17. Now he's actually, did he turn 30 already? I think he did. I think his birthday was...
No, it's this month.
Oh, it's this month? Okay, so his birthday's this month. So it's been interesting to see him change over in that way. He's a son now, settling down a little bit. But yeah, in terms of his attitude and his confidence and his, you might say, arrogance, and his bold predictions and how he carries himself, that really hasn't changed all that much. And like I was saying, walking up this hallway, it was the Poirier fight, I remember it now, where that the Billy Strut was born. It was literally in the hallway we just walked up. It gave me a little flashback to that, and that's just being who the guy he's been for as long as I can remember.
I remember you guys. You told me one time that you guys would like it'd be the middle of the night, and he would send you a video of like 2 gorillas fighting. Be like, you guys would try to be picking up like technique off of this, or you'd be talking about when the Mayweather fight happened. You sat there and he stood up and he was talking about, I'm going to do this or that in the fight. And that was right when it was first starting to get made. Have those moments continued to happen? Is he still as passionate, and is he paying as close attention to fighting as he always has?
Absolutely. I think you can give him all the money in the world, but try and get him to do something else other than train or watch fights, and you're going to see a guy start to get bored very, very quickly. He's got a hyperactive brain, and it's a brain that's very sharp in the business world, but I really see him, he's lit up when it's a fight. And I don't care if it's 2 gorillas in an enclosure or a big fight on a Saturday night. It's really what gets him buzzed up. I think all the other shiny stuff he buys, it's a quick rush, but it goes away. The martial arts, I know he's going to be training in my gym till he's bringing his son down. He already has his son throwing a few punches and kicks already. That's the side where I see him light up more than any gold watch I could give him.
Last couple questions. Does he fight Khabib Nurmagomedov before the end of the year?
I hope so. It's no secret. The headlines are out there that there is ongoing negotiations. So, like I said, I have to be honest and say I don't know. I don't involve myself in the management side of thing. Him and Audie have that on lockdown, and they both know what they're doing in that world. I'm okay at the coaching side of things, and I'll stick at that. I hope so. I get regular updates, and it's ongoing. So cross everything.
And when the fight happens, what does it look like?
Are we all ready at predictions?
Might as well.
I mean, it is. It's a cliche to say, but it is the classic striker versus grappler. It's, of course, Khabib needs to get into that clinch and join his hands and start chaining his takedowns together. And obviously, we need to try and prevent that and maybe do things against him that I think a lot of people are so afraid of Khabib's grappling. They don't engage with him. Conor's a good grappler. I know that will get a lot of people upset when I say that online. But you can say what you want. Watch his fights. There's plenty of evidence to support that claim. So I'm feeling, and he's feeling, and we're feeling confident wherever the fight goes. But it'll be as Farid says, the touch of death will be the difference in the fight.
If you really want to get him riled up, predict a submission. Predict he submits, out wrestles and submits.
Yeah, you never know.